which of the fighters on the Smash Bros. Ultimate roster have seen a snowman, and now you do too. So today we're going to be looking at which ones definitively, outside of the Smash Bros. Series and inside their canon games, keyword games, have seen or have the ability to see a snowman. An actual snowman, a photo of a snowman, a drawing of a snowman. I'm not picky, except for when I'm extremely picky. Also, I want you to guess in the comments ahead of time which of these three characters you think have seen a snowman. The Ice Climbers, Ryu, and Bayonetta. Pause to place your bets? And now let's find out. Our entire Mario Kart World roster of characters can easily be marked off with the addition of the snowman as a racer. And Mario Kart keeps pulling through as Mario Kart DS has snowmen in both DK Pass and Frappe Snowland, adding Rob, who's a racer in that game, to the list. So Mario, and in turn Dr. Mario, since Dr. Mario is Mario, DK, Luigi, Yoshi, Peach, Bowser, Daisy, Wario, Rosalina, Bowser Jr., Piranha Plant, and Rob have all seen snowmen. Sadly, while DK is on the Mario Kart roster, Diddy Kong is not. But fear not, he has his own racing game, Diddy Kong Racing, in which you can find a snowman. The big baddie of the Donkey Kong series, though, King K. Rool, is not in the racing game. The closest I could get to him having seen a snowman was maybe Bleak from Donkey Kong Country 3, but that's assuming 1, that Bleak was hired by King K. Rool, and 2, that it was a face-to-face interview. I don't actually know if the bosses in Donkey Kong Country 3 work for King K. Rool. In the first Donkey Kong Country, I would be comfortable saying that, because many of them guard part of the banana horde that's been stolen by King K. Rool. But that's just not the case in the third game. And the Nintendo-powered Donkey Kong Country 3 Player's Guide doesn't imply that any of the bosses work for King K. Rool either. Belch's description says that he haunts the deserted barnyard, which I'm assuming they're going with the definition of haunt that just means hanging around a lot, since nothing about him says ghost. Eric is said to be the ruler of Kremwood Forest, and it just says that Bleak is the biggest and baddest Cold Warrior in K3. In fact, the level you fight him in is called Bleak's House. It kinda seems like the Kongs are just ripping their way through these foreign lands and the bosses are just defending their territory. Anyway, all I have to say is that there's no evidence that King K. Rool has seen a snowman. Now, you might be wondering why I didn't include Link in the roster of Mario Kart characters, since he made an appearance in Mario Kart 8 as a DLC character. And it's because while I consider Mario Kart canon, since it's referenced in multiple other games, the DLC, I'm not 100% convinced of its canonicity. I could be swayed, but this doubt is enough to make me search elsewhere. And it's fully possible that I used Link in Mario Kart as proof in previous videos in this series, but it's a new day. But Link has seen a snowman. I would know, I built it. Never talk to me or my big son ever again. Toon Link has as well, since in Spirit Tracks, Sir Frosties will throw their heads at Link's train. Young Link, however, hasn't? He's seen these Eno things, which the Legend of Zelda Encyclopedia describes as snowball-like monsters, but they just don't seem to pass the snowman bar for me, man. You know, what is the definition of snowman? Snow shaped to resemble a human figure? I disagree. I mean, it can resemble a human figure, but if we were playing Pictionary and you were trying to get me to guess human and you drew this, you would not be invited to game night anymore. Now, my bar for what qualifies as a snowman in this video isn't the highest, just made of snow, couple eyes, preferably 2 or more segments with leniency, but I just don't think this has the snowman vibe I'm looking for. Plus, I asked my Twitch chat if they would call it a snowman with a 1 for yes and a 2 for no, and the overwhelming majority said no, so there you go. Doesn't pass the vibe check. And outside of Enos, I can't find another example of young Link seeing a snowman, so I'm gonna say he hasn't. So let's mark the links off. Zelda, however, has, due to the snow malls in Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. This does not apply to Sheik, though, who is specifically the Ocarina of Time Zelda, and I don't have proof that the Ocarina of Time Zelda has seen a snowman. Listen, I don't know what they teach in Princess class, but snowmen probably aren't at the top of the list. I equally don't have proof that Ganondorf has seen a snowman. He's a Gerudo, so snow isn't exactly their thing. So we can go ahead and mark the rest of the Zelda characters off too. We're going into space now with the Metroid and Star Fox series. As you may have guessed, not a lot of snowmen in space. Now, Samus and Fox do both travel to places where there is snow, but the thing about snowmen is that there have to be people or creatures with snowman-making hands and hearts to build them. And a lot of times these are more desolate wastelands that we're talking about. So very sadly, I have no proof that any of the characters from the Metroid or Star Fox series have seen a snowman. The fighters from the Kirby series, however, have a bit more luck since Mr. Chili not only exists in many of the Kirby games, but can be in your party in Kirby Star Allies along with King Dedede and Meta Knight, so all of them have seen a snowman. Let's move along to the Pokemon Trainer and Pokemon. Just like the other videos in this series, if the name is generic on the roster, I will also be generic. So I'm not looking specifically at Red the Pokemon Trainer, I'm looking at any of the Pokemon trainers you can play as in the games. And since you can walk around with your Pokemon, any Pokemon you can obtain in the games is fair play for being able to see the same things the trainer sees. That said, in Pokemon Sword and Shield, there's the Galarian Zen mode Darmanitan, which definitely resembles a snowman, but confused me with its fire-based moves. However, its Shield Pokedex entry says it won't stop spewing flames until its rage has settled, even if its body starts to melt, so I guess it is made of snow and therefore would count. But also there are snowmen in Sword Chester that are way cuter, so I'm going with that. And hey, you can obtain every Pokemon from Smash Ultimate in that game, except Greninja. That's right, you can't even transfer it via PC. Greninja's model does not exist in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which sucks because the only other Snowmen I could find in games with Greninja were in the Snowball Battle and Shiver City event in Pokemon Unite and in Pokemon Masters EX, both games that are considered non-canon in the Pokemon games universe. Which means the Pokemon trainer and every single Pokemon except Greninja has seen a snowman, which makes me kinda sad. Someone show Greninja a snowman. But for now, on to the Earthbound series, where Ness encounters snowmen in Magicant that he remembers from when he was younger, and in Mother 3, Lucas can spot a snowman on Snowcap. The boys have seen a snowman! Next up on the roster is Captain Falcon, and while he's raced through many lands, none of them seem to contain a snowman. No proof. Now for everyone who guessed that the ice climbers, the kiddos who spend 99% of their time climbing icy mountains, have seen a snowman, your logic has failed you. I am so sorry, but there is no in-game evidence that these two have seen a snowman. They've seen polar bears and little yeti bird things, but there are no snowmen on these mountains. Have they probably seen one? Yeah, chances are good, but there's no proof, and that's what we're looking for here. Next up, we have the Fire Emblem crew, and Sugar Plum Vision Mirabilis really pulls through here, as she carries a snowman with her, and since she's in Fire Emblem Heroes, which the entirety of the Smash Fire Emblem fighters are in, they all have the ability to be a part of the same team as her and gaze upon the snowman. We can mark them all off. Mr. Game & Watch is next, and despite the unique situations he's found himself in, none of them involve even being in a snowy setting, let alone seeing a snowman. Mr. Game & Watch is out. Then we have the Kid Icarus characters. There's an enemy called Snowman, but I don't want something made out of pure ice instead of powdery snow, and the game manual describes him as the abominable snowman of Angel Land. And an abominable snowman is deceivingly not a snowman at all, so that's not gonna work. And since there are no other snowmen I could find, Pit and Dark Pit have no proof they've seen a snowman. And I'd probably put Palutena in the same category. She is extremely knowledgeable, yes, and she is in charge of looking after humanity, but I don't know if these humans make snowmen. Even if it's supposed to be our humanity, the first written record of a snowman was from 1380. And the time period in which myths of gods and goddesses were supposed to take place varies, but we're definitely talking BCE. So there's no proof that the people of the overworld at this time period made snowmen, and there's definitely no proof that Palutena has seen snowmen. Now Snake has stealthed through some iconic snow levels, but everyone's too busy building nuclear weapons and no one's building a snowman. And that's a real travesty. As far as I know, Snake's never seen a snowman. Our next two boys are Sonic and Olimar, and both have seen snowmen. Sonic in Sonic 3D Blast, and Olimar in the Valley of Repose in Pikmin 2. Let's mark them off. The Villager and Isabelle, our Animal Crossing duo, have a slew of snowmen they can see, from making one yourself, to the snowmen decor outside of buildings, to snowman-related furniture. Villager and Isabelle? Check. I was skeptical that Mega Man had seen an actual snowman, considering almost every enemy he runs into is a robot. And it's true, the Snowler is a snowman robot, but he shoots out actual snowmen. You can see when they break apart that they are in fact made of snow. Mega Man's seen a snowman. So the Wii Fit Trainers are interesting, because the Wii Fit studio is located on Woohoo Island, originally Wii Fit Island. So you could say that they might have seen snowmen while passing by the island villagers participating in snowball fights. After all, there might be Miis in those snowmen, but it doesn't change the fact that there is still a snowman around them, which also means we can check off the Miis. But as for the trainers, I can't prove that they've ever left that studio. Remember, Smash Bros is not canon, so we've never actually seen them outside of the studio. For all we know, the Miis force those different looking freaks to stay in their designated area. A real Quasimodo situation. Anyway, I can't prove they've seen a snowman. And speaking of gym rats, I can't prove that Lil Mac has stepped out of the gym for long enough to see a snowman either. He's out too. Pac-Man is up, and there are snowmen in Pac-Man Party on the Crystal Cliff stage, so Pac-Man has seen a snowman. Xenoblade time! And I don't think that Shulk has seen a snowman. The biggest piece of evidence for this is that when Shulk and the gang get up to Valak Mountain, Albus says that it only snows this high up on the Bionis, and the climate is as different to Shulk's home as it gets. So Shulk's clearly never seen a snowman prior to this point, and after that, you never see a snowman in that game. In Xenoblade Chronicles 2, though, Pyra and Mythra can see a snowman by the Theosaur rear gate. So Pyra and Mythra have seen a snowman, but as far as I'm concerned, Shulk hasn't. The Duck Hunt duo never see a snowman in their game. And considering mallard hunting season runs fall through winter in both the US and Japan, if they're not getting snow now, I don't know when they're seeing a snowman. They're out. Let's now take a look at all of our fighting game fighters, starting with Ryu and Ken. Ryu believers rejoice because both fellas can see a really sneaky snowman if you get the special stage ending scene on the right side of the underground arena. Tricky, but fair. And a couple of the other fighters have some luck too. Kula Diamond can produce snowmen in a few of the King of Fighters games, meaning Terry's seen them, and Kazuya can spot a snowman in the Arctic Dream stage in Tekken Tag Tournament 2, 2 and Tekken Revolution. Min Min, however, drew the short stick, as ARMS doesn't feature any snow-heavy levels. So all the fighting game roster has seen a Snowman except for Min Min. Big rip. Oh boy, time for my Final Fantasy boys, and this gets complicated. You know, each of these videos I learn a little bit more about the Final Fantasy series, and the more I learn, the less I know. Okay, let's start with Cloud, because he's easy. Cloud has seen a snowman both in the snowboarding game and in the Icicle in town. Great. Now, Sephiroth isn't as straightforward, but here's why I'm going to say that Sephiroth has seen a snowman. Spoilers for those who haven't played Final Fantasy VII. So Sephiroth's body is in the Northern Cave, and the Sephiroth clones that Cloud envisions are actually Jenova's body taking the form of Sephiroth. But it is Sephiroth controlling Jenova's cells to lead Cloud to the North Crater disguised as himself, Sephiroth. Okay, so how does Sephiroth know where Cloud is in order to make these vision clones lead him the right way? Because Cloud also has Jenova's cells, which Sephiroth can tap into and manipulate. And this Jenova/Sephiroth illusory clone leads Cloud to the Icicle Inn and beyond. So whether you want to see it as Sephiroth seeing the same town through Jenova or through Cloud's eyes, Sephiroth has seen this snowman, and therefore knows what a snowman looks like. But we're not done getting into minutia, because in Bayonetta 2, we're introduced to a lovely Christmas-time city scene where we can see in a close-up of some wrapping paper a snowman. And later, the same wrapping paper in a store window that Bayonetta looks into. Your Honor, Bayonetta has seen a snowman. That was a little cheeky one, but I feel good standing by it. The Inklings are no strangers to snowmen, as there was a straight-up snowman team for Splatfest and a giant snowman in Splatoon 3's Frosty Fest. Kinda weird that they're not shaped like Inklings, but I think that actually solidifies my case that snowmen are not inherently human-shaped. Anyway, Inklings have seen snowmen. For our Castlevania gens, Simon and Richter, I'm not sure if I have anything super interesting to say, I just didn't find any snowmen in their games. There's no proof for either of them. Looking at Persona 5, there's an enemy called Jack Frost, and I think these would probably count since even though they're really smooth and only referred to as fairies in Persona 5, they're actually a repeat enemy in the shared Megami Tensei multiverse that Soul Hackers is also a part of. And the Soul Hackers games say that he's made of ice and snow. So I think it's probably safe to say that both these Jack Frost enemies and the similar Monarch of Snow are probably made of snow despite their oddly smooth appearance. But just in case, there are also snowmen in Odori Park during the Sapporo jail section. So either way, Joker has seen a snowman. There are actually a few examples of snowmen in the Dragon Quest games, one of which being when Crystalinda turns your teammates into the cutest snowmen ever. So Hero has seen their fair share of snowmen. Banjo and Kazooie follow suit, as there's the enemy, Sir Slush the Snowman, and a giant snowman with haunting eyes in the middle of Frazizi Park. Seen a snowman, and Steve has too. Take some shears to the snow golem's pumpkin head and you get a nice happy snowman. I love it. Snowman seen. And finally, Sora not only sees a snowman, he talks to one since he meets Olaf in Kingdom Hearts 3. So these are all the Smash Bros characters who have canonically seen a snowman in their games. Are there any that took you by surprise? And which of your pre-made guesses were correct? I hope you all enjoyed this return to this series. Feel free to share any other ones you'd want to see in the comments, and be sure to subscribe for more profoundly ridiculous and ridiculously profound questions about video games. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go throw out all the Final Fantasy VII textbooks I've been studying instead of just playing the game. But I'll see you on the next one. Bye!
Goombanna is the wonder why she didn't come to play. Gaming vids that'll make you laugh and think and put them on replay. Intelligent, kind of funny, her community's #1. Stick around and kick your feet up. Goombanna has just begun.